Can start, Deepika.
Okay. A very good morning, everyone. I, Deepika Bhatia, Program Coordinator, welcome you all on behalf of Anon Global Foundation for the final presentation session of internship program offered by Anon. I'm sure all the interns must have had their best of efforts in these 15 days training and had an extraordinary experience while working on their topics. I would like to welcome our jury members, Ms. Payal Upal. Ms. Payal has 18 years of expertise in educating and effectively communicating with students from diverse backgrounds, motivated average students to fully explore their potential and produce the highest individual score tally in the district in English CBSE higher secondary boards. She also nurtured talent as the chief editor of the school magazine and newsletter for the last 18 years. Ms. Uppal has sharp organizational and managerial skills executed as a member of the organizing committee for various annual functions and events. I would also love to introduce Ms. Jyoti Bajaj. Ms. Jyoti Bajaj is a gold medalist, special educator from Lady Irwin College, Delhi University, and a gold medalist physiotherapist from Kurukshetra University. She is working as special educator and counselor with DPS Rohini since last 5 years. She excels in promoting mental health awareness and training and has conducted several training programs, webinars, interactive sessions with students, parents, and teachers on the subject. I welcome jury members and I thank both the jury members for their valuable time. Now moving on. As we are aware that our team of interns was divided amongst different groups and has been allocated different topics. So today we have team the Bankers of Happiness with us who will be sharing their ideas on the topic Success Redefined, Happiness, the New Currency. The team is mentored by Punya Chawla. We have the following interns with us: Manya Prabhakaran from Delhi, Rudraksh Khanna from Haryana, Anya Sharma from Delhi, Vansh Dawar from Delhi. Now I request the team to please come forward and kindly start the presentation. Over to you, team.
So, good morning to all present here. My name is Punya Chawla, and I'm mentoring the team, the Bankers of Happiness. So, I'm really grateful and thankful to Anon that they've given me this opportunity to lead such a great group and on such an important topic. Most of us have a myth that success only means having monetary gains, having monetary profits, or getting certain type of a job. But it's our team today would be showcasing that success doesn't mean only profits and having monetary gains in your life. It means much more. And our very focus would be a very important focus would be on happiness. So we hope that we're able to prove our point and redefine the meaning of success. So let me first introduce my team members to you. First is Anya Sharma, she's from Delhi. Vansh, he's again from Delhi. Manya Prabhakaran, she's from Delhi. And Rudraksh, who's from Haryana. Over to you, Anya.
चित्ते प्रसन्ने भुवनं प्रसन्नं
चित्ते विषण्णे भुवनं विषण्णम् अतोऽभिलाषो यदीते सुखे स्यात् चित्प्रसादे प्रथमं यत्स्व स्यात् चित्प्रसादे प्रथमं यत्स्व स्यात् चित्प्रसादे प्रथमं यत्स्व. If the mind is happy, the entire world seems happy. If the mind is despondent, the entire world seems despondent. Hence, if you desire happiness, strive towards the happiness of the mind first. As they say, happiness is a state of mind. Or to say in a generic term, it is all in the mind.
Success is very subjective and means many things to different people. For a lot of people, success can be a certain social status that describes a prosperous person that could have also gained fame for its favorable outcome. Though the dictionary describes success as the following: attaining wealth, prosperity, or fame. Let's see what actually success means. I believe that one of the biggest challenges we face is misunderstanding of what success really is. Success becomes an idol in our life that replaces our devotion to God. Striving for success turns friends into competitors and can make us prone to corruption, cheating, arrogance, or despair. Now, as I have said earlier, that success is very subjective. I think that success can mean a lot to us if we find what it truly means to us.
Happiness. Happiness is a feeling of pleasure or positivity. It's an ability to take what life has given to you and to personalize it in a way that
Rudraksh, you are on mute.
yeah, this was this much was of mine.
Our definition of success. Success means to be happy, both mentally as well as physically. You can't just be happy with money. You need a healthy body, a healthy mind, and you need to be content with what you have in order to be successful. Success is not the key to happiness. In fact, it is the other way around. Happiness is the key to success. We have redefined true success, and our definition of success is being happy and satisfied, rather than being greedy and desiring monetary gains. True success should be measured by how happy you are.
Once a rich and successful person who is a British entrepreneur and the head of Virgin Group Limited, that is Sir Richard Branson, claimed his definition of success, which is, quote unquote, too many people measure how successful they are by how much money they make or the people that they associate with. In my opinion, true success should be measured by how happy you are.
Happiness is age specific. Most of the fear old age. We believe that old age is a time when we would be isolated, having various health issues. This myth has been provided that other way around. Let's see the research has to say. The research found that when they ask people that they are specifying with their lives, the graph shown in the dip in the midlife for 40 till years 50, early 50s, the the highest slope in the 20s and 80s. Old age is free of negative emotions such as frustration, anger, anxious, etc. Not only that their old age becomes of better days due to less time on the activities that cause high stress. The aged people do have the control over how they spend their time and and under whom they spend it with. The research also says that the brains of the old people all wired to concrete only the positive, such as erection of babies or athletes celebration.
Society preaches a simple success or happiness model. If you work hard, you will become successful. And once you are sufficiently successful, you will be happy. Once you earn enough money, drive a nice car, own a lovely house, and if you are successful in your career, then you will be happy. And if not, maybe lose those last 5 pounds, earn some more money, upgrade your wardrobe, and then you will be happy. Keep chasing after success, and once you have made it, then you will be happy. But don't try to be happy right now. That's futile. If you are not yet successful enough, first you need to work hard, sacrifice your health and friendships, and then you will automatically be happy. Don't worry about happiness. Double down on becoming a success instead. The only problem with that model is that it's broken. There's always more success to be chased after. More money, more fame, more power, and it never ends. There's been a ton of research on the effects of happiness in the workplace. Much of this is driven by companies who want to find a way to improve productivity, attract new talent, and get a dose of good publicity all at the same time. After all, who wouldn't want to do business or work for a company full of happy employees? All the jury is still out on exactly how happy employees should be for maximum productivity, efficiency, and health. We have learned a few things about the effects of a happy workforce. People who are happy with their jobs are less likely to leave their jobs, less likely to be absent. People who are happy with their jobs are more likely to engage in behavior that contributes to a happy and productive organization, more likely to be physically healthy, and more likely to be mentally healthy as well. Happiness and job performance are related. Example, happy people do a better job, and people who do a good job are more likely to be happy. Unit or team level happiness is also linked to positive outcomes, including higher customer satisfaction, profit, productivity, employee turnover. In general, a happier organization is more productive and successful organization. It's easy to see that happiness at work does matter for individuals, for teams, and for organizations overall.
The health benefits of happiness. Happiness has numerous benefits in life, but it also influences our physical health to a great extent. Studies prove that happier people are healthier. One of the most famous happiness studies includes the diaries of 180 Catholic nuns born before 1917. More than 5 decades later, researchers looked at those diary entries and coded them for positive emotional content. The results were startling. The higher the level of positivity as 20 somethings, the longer these nuns tended to live. There was a 7-year difference in longevity between the happiest and least happy nuns. At any age, the nuns who used the fewest positive emotion words, example, contentment, appreciation, hope, love, or happiness, had twice the death risk when compared to those who used the most positive happiness words. By age 85, 90% of the happiest quartile of nuns were still alive, as opposed to only 34% of the least happy quartile. Happiness is good for your health. Other studies have shown that it predicts lower heart rate and blood pressure. It combats stress, boosts your immune system, and protects you from aches and pains. Here are 6 main health benefits of happiness. First of all, happiness protects your heart. Love and happiness may not actually originate in the heart, but they are good for it. For example, a 2005 paper found that happiness predicts lower heart rate and blood pressure. In the study, participants rated their happiness over 30 times in one day, and then again 3 years later. The initially happiest participants had a lower heart rate on follow-up, about 6 beats slower per minute, and the happiest participants during the follow-up had better blood pressure. Second, happiness strengthens your immune system. An earlier experiment found that immune system activity in the same individual goes up and down depending on their happiness. For 2 months, 30 male dental students took pills containing a harmless blood protein from rabbits, which causes an immune response in humans. They also rated whether they had experienced various positive moods that day. On days when they were happier, participants had a better immune response, as measured by the presence of an antibody in their saliva that defends against foreign substances. Third, happiness combats stress. Stress is not only upsetting on a psychological level, but also triggers biological changes in our hormones and blood pressure. Happiness seems to temper these effects, or at least help us recover more quickly. Happy people have fewer aches and pains. A 2005 study suggests that positive emotion also mitigates pain in the context of disease. Women with arthritis and chronic pain rated themselves weekly on positive emotions like interest, enthusiasm, and inspiration for about 3 months. Over the course of the study, those with higher ratings overall were less likely to experience increases in pain. Fifth, happiness combats disease and disability. Happiness is associated with improvements in more severe long-term conditions as well, not just shorter-term aches and pains. And the last but not the least, happiness lengthens our lives. In the end, the ultimate health indicator might be longevity, and here, especially happiness comes into play.
Most of us may not know that Finland is the happiest country in the world. Take a look at this graph. You won't find powerful and big countries like the USA, UK, or China even in the top 10. Now, I'm sure all of us must be thinking why Finland is the happiest country in the world. I will give you 4 reasons. Number 1, democracy. Finland is a democratic country. The citizens of Finland enjoy many individual and political freedoms, and suffrage is universal at the age of 18. Number 2, trust. There is so much trust between the Finnish people. This is a country where mothers can leave their sleeping infants in their strollers outside of shops while they go in for little shopping. Here you can see children as young as 7 or 8-year-olds traveling alone in public buses or trains. Number 3, healthcare. Finland offers its residents universal healthcare. The prevention of diseases and other types of health promotion has been the main focus of Finnish healthcare policies for decades. Number 4, education. Finland's education system is regarded as one of the best in the world. Finland is one of the few nations in the world where its own citizens receive higher education completely free. Finland may not be the richest country, but it definitely has the capability to handle any global crisis.
The global pursuit of happiness. Back in 1776, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness were included in the US Declaration of Independence, which was drafted by Thomas Jefferson and then edited by the Committee of Five, including Jefferson. This phrase gives 3 examples of the unalienable rights, which the Declaration says have been given to all humans by their Creator, and for which governments are created to protect. The idea of measuring happiness, however, might have emerged from the example of Bhutan, a tiny Himalayan nation wherein the concept of gross national happiness, GNH, is widely used to measure the collective happiness and well-being of the population. During an interview at the Bombay airport in 1972, King Jigme Singye Wangchuk, the then king of Bhutan, said, "Gross national happiness is more important than gross national product." Later in 2008, GNH was instituted as a goal of the government of Bhutan in the constitution. The 9 domains of GNH are psychological well-being, health, time use, education, cultural diversity and resilience, good governance, community vitality, ecological diversity and resilience, and living standards. with equal weight for each of them. Scholars have noted that GNH constructs Buddhism as the core of the cultural values of Bhutan.
Another measurement of happiness was developed by Ruth Veenhoven. He constructed the model of three qualities of life, which positions and describes the construct of happiness in various dimensions. Using Veenhoven's three qualities, it is possible to assess the happiness of any country. In this case, we will use the example of South Africa. First, livability of environment. This dimension includes factors such as law, freedom, schooling, employment, etc. In South Africa, there is still a chronic shortage of housing, water supply, and adequate schooling. For some time now, South Africa has been plagued by resultant service delivery riots. Corruption shows as a strong negative correlation to happiness in Veenhoven's 2010 research. And sadly, South Africa is plagued by a high level of corruption and maladministration. Second, life ability of individuals. The ability of individuals to deal with life is important. Both mental and physical health are identified as important factors, together with social values of solidarity, tolerance, and love. In South Africa, the race divide is widening as it is being used as a political motivator to wield power to the detriment of the average individual. Violent crime, intolerance, and poverty also threaten the presence of love and compassion for each other. Third, utility of life. In this dimension, Wien 2010 research references a higher order meaning. For example, religious affiliations. If we hold strong pride in our nation, would that not constitute an input to our life's meaning? If we felt proud of our nation, would that not play a significant part in our happiness? The high levels of national disaster negatively impacted a nation's level of happiness. South Africa has experienced national tragedies such as passing of Nelson Mandela. South Africa has come through a very unsettled and violent history of imperialism and apartheid in both accounts. A minority population was protected and majority fueled that good life. Therefore, happiness has not been a focal area for progress in this country.
Mon- Money matters the most when you are below the poverty level because the line sufferance rate is low. As the individual earn more and more money, their satisfaction feel decreases. However, poor people get affected because it gives them a chance to uplift their living standard. They struggle to even most of their basic needs, line, water, food, shelter, etc. Once they are able to incur such basic aspects, their happiness fuel rises eventually.
Celebrities who have undergone depression. Many of us think that celebrities who have every materialistic thing under the sun must be living a happy life. But reality is different. There are a lot of celebrities who have undergone depression. Depression is a silent killer. It is a slow poison that kills one's happiness and peace of mind. The person who has depression stops to enjoy things which they love to do. In this image, we can see Deepika Padukone, Dwayne Johnson, and Katy Perry. So let's talk about Deepika Padukone first. Deepika was diagnosed with depression in 2014. The 34-year-old celebrity said she considered herself lucky that her mother had spotted her symptoms and urged her to seek mental help. Deepika also revealed that during that time, all she wanted to do was sleep, as she didn't have to deal with reality while being asleep. Now let's talk about Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is known as Hollywood's tough guys and top earners. He shared his life on his battle with depression over the years. Johnson told the news outlets about several painful moments in his life and later tweeted the indispensable lesson he learned through those hardships. Now, let me tell you about Katy Perry's depression. Katy revealed how she felt ashamed of being on medication for her mental health after she was diagnosed with clinical depression. She said, I just couldn't get out of bed for weeks and became clinically depressed and had to get on medication for the first time in my life. She said that at that period of her life, it was completely awful. Why are most celebrities unhappy? This is something that I have noticed for some time now. When you really look into the eyes of some richest people out there, you do not see happiness. To begin with, wealth in the world does not bring real money. Money with it brings a tremendous burden. When one becomes famous, they must work harder and harder to keep topping themselves. Many have a degree of fear about how they are going to do. Big celebrities virtually have no privacy. But what is it that troubles the celebrities so much? Let me explain it to you. First, it may be because that once you have enough money to meet the basic needs and be able to purchase small conveniences or repay debt, extra money may simply fuel desires such as pursuing more material gains and social comparisons, which could ironically lower well being. Researchers from Purdue University believe we think external things we buy will bring us happiness, but then we get them and wonder what's next. The next thing has to be bigger and better than what we had before, and then what other people around us have. The problem with this, of course, is that the plenty of research shows that possessions that signal high status make us want to distance ourselves from others. This may be due to a feeling of competition and selfishness. It may also be because, quite simply, we don't need other people to survive the way we did when we were poor. Whatever the results, the wealthier we get, the less we value social connections, and that eats into our overall sense of well being. Second, they work longer hours than poor men in the US and rich men in other advanced countries. In the last generation, they have reduced their leisure time. The issue here is that while work does provide life satisfaction, working insanely long hours prevent us from doing things proven to make us happy, like spending more time with our families. Plus, usually higher paying jobs and promotions come with more responsibility and stress. Material possession doesn't make us happy. Instead, it's things like experience and having more time to do things we love and spend time with people we love that drive happiness. The deepest pleasures are derived from interpersonal love, warm relationships, giving appreciation and gratitude.
It is important to handle money in the right way. Some folks believe their worries would vanish if only they had a six-figure salary. But other plays the lottery because they think winning would solve their problems. But it's not how much you earn that determines how happy you are. It's how much you spend in relation to your income. Take pro athletes. The average NFL player earns $1.1 million per year, and the average NBA player makes $4 million per year. Yet, even these vast incomes sometimes aren't enough to cover what players spend. In a recent issue of Sports Illustrated, Pablo Estor described how and why athletes go broke. He writes that after 2 years of retirement, 78% of former NFL players have gone bankrupt or are under financial stress. Within 5 years of retirement, roughly 60% of former NBA players are in similar positions. Lottery winners have the same kind of problems. A 2001 article in the American Economic Review found that after receiving half the jackpots, the typical lottery winner had only about 16% of the money into savings. It's estimated that over a quarter of lottery winners go bankrupt. Take Bud Post. He won $16.2 million in 1988. Within weeks of receiving his first annual payment of nearly $500,000, he'd spent $300,000. During the next few years, Post bought boats, mansions, and airplanes. But trouble followed him everywhere. I was much happier when I was broke, he's reported to have said. When he died in 2006, Post was living on a $450 monthly disability check. Of course, not every wealthy person is so profligate. In fact, according to Thomas Stanley and William Danko, most billionaires are careful with their money. In their classic book, The Millionaire Next Door, Stanley and Danko catalog the characteristics of the quiet millionaires, those who live in average neighborhoods, drive average cars, and work average jobs. These folks are able to build and maintain wealth because they keep their spending in check, even as their incomes rise. The authors say that instead of indulging in frivolous expenses, we should actually invest in things that are better for the future.
Do you relate your monetary success with happiness? Our objective was to find out how many people empathize their economic progress to gate. And the analysis which we did found that the highest percentage lied in the option maybe, which has 38.2%. This means that most of the people do see their success in monetary gains. The result which we have got through the analysis is better for our society, but still there is a scope for improvement. Question 2. Have you ever felt distressed and sad due to financial instability? In the second question, our objective was to find out how many people have experienced distress and felt agitated due to their financial inconstancy. And we found that the most people said yes, and their percentage was 61.8%, and the least person said no, and their percentage was 38.2%. This means that at least once in their life they have felt sad and due to their financial instability. Do you feel that being in a happy state of mind is an achievement? Our objective was to find that how much people agree that being in a blissful state is an achievement. The most number of people strongly agreed in 49.6%, and the second most opted option was agree, that was 48%. This means that people's mindsets are changing and they are focusing on their state of happiness as well. The upshot is quite positive, we have to say, and we have to hope that it goes like this the whole time and for the whole society. Question 4. Have you ever been in a situation where one person's behavior lifted up the mood of surrounding people? In this question, we wanted to find that how much people have been in a situation that one people's mood affected the whole surrounding. And the analysis which we did found that the highest percentage lied in the option no, which has 52%, and the second highest option was yes, which has 48%. This means that most of the people are yet experience the situation where the happiness is contagious.
A take home message: being wealthy means having more money. Happiness is in having healthy relationships. Now, let's watch a movie where a child's parents don't pay much attention to the child. Let's see what are the consequences of this.
Dad, see, I made such a beautiful drawing. The teacher gave me full marks for it.
Go away, son. I have to do a lot of work. I am on an important deal. I can't afford the loss of some crores because of your drawing.
Mom, see, the teacher gave me full marks for my drawing today.
I have just returned from my kitty party. I'm really tired and I need to go to sleep. I'll see it later. Being wealthy is striving for more. Happiness is being content with what you have. Let's watch a movie that imparts this message by portraying two extremely different people and their levels of life satisfaction.
Really? I know that you have been finding it difficult to meet the needs of our family. But even these 50 rupees will help us to earn a living for ourselves. This day has been so lucky for us. I'm so happy.
Child, see, I've got such a pretty dress for you. How is it looking?
Dad, you bought only one dress for me. I want another one, or else I won't talk to you for the whole day.
Being wealthy is working for your own betterment. Happiness is working for others. We couldn't have agreed more with this statement. So, here's a movie that shows how working for others can provide a person happiness.
You all are supposed to write your names on the balloons that have been distributed amongst 50 of you. Okay, so now you all are supposed to find the balloon having your name only. Since you all haven't been able to find your own balloon, now you have to hand over the other person's balloon that you get to them.
To conclude, we have Anya singing a song on happiness.
Yes, Anya.
हंसते हंसते कट जाए रास्ते जिंदगी यूं ही चलती रहे खुशी मिले या गम बदलेंगे ना हम दुनिया चाहे बदलती रहे हंसते हंसते कट जाए रास्ते जिंदगी यूं ही चलती रहे खुशी मिले या गम बदलेंगे ना हम दुनिया चाहे बदलती रहे
Our pledge. We would give more importance to our happiness instead of our wealth. We would continue to spread awareness on the importance of happiness. We would continue to bring a smile on the face of people around us. And we would handle money in the right way.
Now we are open to questions, any questions from the jury.
Thank you, team, the Bankers of Happiness, for this wonderful presentation. Now, I would like to request Payal ma'am to share her views and move on with the question answer round.
Thank you, the Bankers of Happiness. I hope your credit keeps increasing and you keep spreading a lot of happiness. But there's one thing that I'd like to add on to your beautiful presentation with a lot of research that you've done. You've looked at the upside of happiness, you've looked at the downside of happiness, you've talked about depression, money management, and everything. But one thing I'd like to add on, Bache, that happiness is just going to start with you. It is not peripheral. It is not in things around you, it is within you. And so it becomes an attitude that I don't try to be happy, I am happy. When I start finding happiness in very small things, the birds were flapping, there was rain outside, that is happiness. So we need to understand how things give us happiness. And we don't need to try to be happy. You know, when we start trying to be happy, we are actually masquerading. We're wearing a mask, which is not happiness. Happiness is attitude. Happiness is what we're feeling within. So when I see my 87-year-old father and he's laughing at himself and he's joking about himself, that is happiness. So we have to forget the social image that we're building up an aura for people around us. We're happy. You know, so that is the kind of happiness that we should all work towards. My question to you is, at times our happiness has to be compromised for somebody else's happiness. What do you have to say about that? Anybody can answer.
Ma'am, may I answer?
Please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So the last movie that we showed, it actually imparted the message that working for others' betterment gives you happiness as well. So if we have to sacrifice our happiness to provide someone else happiness, we are going to feel happy. We are going to feel that sense of satisfaction when we have done an act of kindness.
Right.
So that is what I feel.
So, and what happens is because you're feeling good yourself, and that is happiness. Very well answered. One more question. As you said, people are running out after money, after fame, and they relate it as happiness. So do you think that expecting too much of happiness actually ends happiness?
Yeah, actually, it's overpowered by greed.
Mm-hmm. In what way, Rudraksh? Okay.
Ma'am, can you please repeat the question?
My question is, Punya, that at times, you know, when we are in this race of happiness, we are expecting, I have to be happy, you know, this will give me happiness. So expecting too much of happiness actually does not let us enjoy the happiness that we have. Wanted you to talk about that.
Yes, it's overpowered by greed.
Overpowered by greed.
And when we expect too much happiness, I don't think so that it leads to happiness. Like more happiness we get, then like always when we get, even if we get small happiness, then like we think like, I wish that there could be more.
Okay, thank you.
May I request Jyoti ma'am to please share your views?
Hello, everyone. Well done, team, the Bankers of Happiness. It's really happy to see you all talking about happiness. And I really hope and wish you all stay happy and we have a happier place. Taking from what Payal ma'am was talking about just now, beautifully explained, happiness is relative. uh, Happiness to me may be different from happiness to you. You know, small things may give me happiness, or something big I expect to be happy. But like you also showed in your video, it may have a different context to someone else. It is relative. It is actually happiness has to be explained in a contextual form, in the context of mental emotional states, in the context of subjective well-being or joy or contentment. That is where I have a question for you. Since we say that happiness is contextual, you know, it is not a permanent trait, it is a state of mind. So there are bound to be times when we are not happy, or when we encounter a failure. This is natural, it happens with everyone. So can you just tell me one coping strategy, or one way you think you can deal with failures and still stay happy? Anyone? Any way you think you should deal with failures to still be happy?
Ma'am, thinking on making it making the failure your like going one step ahead next time.
Ma'am, may I answer?
Yes,
I would
Manya.
like to add on to that.
Yeah.
Ma'am, if everything in life has to be balanced, we should have a balance of emotions. If we are happy all the time, we actually won't be able to progress as an individual. So we have to have failure in our life in order to have success also. So if we fail, we can learn from that failure. Instead of taking it in a negative way, we should try to gain something from it, and then we can use the knowledge that we gain in order to be successful.
Very good, rightly said. Those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly. So get back on the horse. Don't wallow in self pity. We all learn from our mistakes, and that's what we expect out of you also. Failure is natural. The state of being unhappy is also natural, but we should know how to get back to the state of being happy always. One small question anybody can answer. What one change would you wish to see in the world to make it a happier place? One change you wish to see in the world to make it a happier place? You talked about different countries, you talked about Finland, you talked about South Africa. Though I was looking for a research in India also, what is the happiness quotient that we people have? So leave that aside. I just want you to ponder upon, think, and tell us one change you wish to see in the world to make the world a happier place.
Can I say?
Yeah, please, Rudraksh.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I want the people to not run after materialistic things and think of happiness that they can get. The things around them and get the happiness through the things that they have, but not going after those metallic things that they need more, that they want to take. Things that they already have, they have to think about that, not that they want to take is a different thing, but what they have, they don't think about what they have. They think that what they want more.
Difference between needs and wants. So you want people to understand what they need rather than what they want, right, Rudraksh?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that perspective. Anybody
And
else would like to
also, I want to add on, like, we should stop thinking about the future. We should focus on the present. Like, we should see small things which give us happiness and enjoy those moments first, and then we should start thinking of the future.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you, Team Bankers of Happiness. It was wonderful listening to you all, and really a wonderful morning talking to young minds, seeing their perspective, and really it made us happy to know that you are going to be the spreaders of happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. May I please call Aarti ma'am to share her views regarding the presentation?
Well done, Punya. I still remember you asked why this same kind of topic is being repeated with me. You have done internship in that, and now you are the mentor of the similar topic. But I'm sure you have come to know that there is so many things still that you can discover in it. That is the beauty of going into the depth of the topic. And I'm sure you have your team has shown a new angle to happiness, where you are saying rich people may not be happy and poor people may not be happy, or vice versa. So well done, good work. I just wanted that when your team was representing, that big smile should be there, because you are talking about happiness. That happiness should be there on your faces. Fine. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, interns and mentors. Thank you, jury members. And we would like to sum up our session.